She worked in that mansion for 7 long, exhausting years. Day after day, walking through the same cold hallways. Breathing the same heavy silence. Feeling the same invisible weight on her shoulders. Elena. The maid nobody noticed. The woman nobody respected. But the one person who saw everything. Mr. Grayson, the owner of the mansion, walked with a kind of arrogance that filled every room he entered. His footsteps were loud, sharp, demanding. And every time he saw Elena, he looked at her as if she carried dirt not just on her clothes, but in her blood. Elena, he would snap. Move faster. Don't just stand there. She would nod quietly. Her voice always soft. Yes, sir. But inside her chest, a storm was slowly forming. She had dreams once. Big dreams. A degree in business. A sharp mind. A future she believed she could build. But life didn't go easy on her. The mansion became her survival. Until the night. Everything changed. It was late. Almost midnight. The mansion slept. Only the ticking clock and the faint moonlight kept her company. She was cleaning near the study when she heard voices. Mr. Grayson and his friend, talking, laughing. Elena, he said in a mocking tone. That girl is lucky I let her live here. People like her, they don't own anything. They barely deserve anything. His friend chuckled. You're too soft, Grayson. Their laughter echoed down the hallway. And that moment? That exact moment was when something inside Elena snapped. Her hand trembled, but her eyes turned cold. Not with anger, but with clarity. She whispered to herself. You believe I own nothing. But you have no idea what I've been collecting all these years. Because while everyone thought Elena was just the maid, she had been studying, watching, learning. Every contract left on the table. Every property deed forgotten in the drawer. Every deal he bragged about on the phone. Every mistake he made out of arrogance. She wasn't stealing. She was observing. And every observation was power. A week later, a new scene unfolded. A scene that awakened the final spark. It was breakfast time. Mr. Grayson sat at the table, sipping coffee. His mood was sour. Elena, he said without looking up. You've been slow lately. I think it's time I replace you. Replace. As if she were a broken chair. She didn't react. Not yet. Instead, she asked quietly. May I speak, sir? He raised an eyebrow. You? Speak? Since when do I allow that? But she breathed in, calmly. And for the first time in 7 years. She didn't bow her head. Sir, you might want to sit down. A silence filled the room. Thick, unexpected, heavy. He stared at her, confused. But something in her voice forced him into the chair. She walked out and returned with a thick folder. Not just papers, but his fears printed in black and white. He scoffed. What is this supposed to be? She placed the folder on the table. Proof, she said softly. Of everything you thought no one noticed. He opened it. And the shift in his expression was slow and terrifying. First confusion. Then realization. Then fear. Property documents he kept off the record. Contracts he never filed. Tax errors. Illegal partnerships. Debt connections. He looked up at her. And for the first time, his voice wasn't cruel. Elena, where did you get this? She took a step forward. Her tone calm, controlled, powerful. While you were shouting at me, I was listening. While you were ignoring me, I was learning you. And while you believed I owned nothing, I was quietly collecting everything you left vulnerable. His hands shook. Elena, listen, we can fix this. She cut him off with a whisper. No, sir. You will listen. That voice. That tone. It chilled him. I worked for you with honesty, she said. But you treated me like dirt. You tried to fire me without reason. So now, you will do exactly what I say. He swallowed hard. What do you want? She leaned forward. I want justice. He blinked. Confused. Scared. She continued. You will pay me 7 years' worth of compensation. You will transfer the side property you obtained illegally. And you will sign a contract stating you will never threaten or harm me again. Are you blackmailing me? He whispered. No, she said calmly. I am giving you a choice. Either you agree. Or the authorities receive this folder by noon. His face turned pale. His voice cracked. Elena. I didn't know you were this kind of person. She smiled softly. And there was no fear in that smile. No, sir. You never tried to know who I was. His signature shook as he signed the documents. Every stroke. Every mark. Was another piece of power returning to Elena. And when he was done, she picked up the papers. And whispered with grace. Thank you, sir. I believe. I'm done here. She walked out of that mansion. Not as a maid. But as a woman who owned her dignity. Her future. And more than he ever expected. But the story doesn't end there. Because power, once awakened, never sleeps again. And Mr. Grayson? He wasn't the kind of man to accept defeat quietly. What he did next, and how Elena faced him, is a storm far bigger than the first. A storm that changes everything. The next morning, everything in the mansion felt different, colder, heavier. Elena walked through the hallway with quiet steps, the weight of secrets pressing on her chest. But Mr. Rehan. He walked with a confidence she had never seen in him before. Because he thought. Today, he would catch his maid making a mistake. And finally get rid of her. He didn't know. His entire life was already in her hands. Elena entered the kitchen, her hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the storm building inside her. Maya looked at her with worried eyes. Did he say anything to you last night? Maya whispered. Elena forced a tiny smile. No, but something is coming. I can feel it. Moments later, the house alarm beeped. Mr. Rehan walked in sharply, holding a stack of papers. His voice thundered across the room. Elena, come to the living room. Now. Elena inhaled deeply. And walked toward him. Each step echoing like judgment. When she sat, he dropped the papers in front of her. These, he said with a cold smirk, are the documents you've been hiding. Elena froze, her heart pounding. He had found them, or so he thought. She looked up slowly. What do you think these papers mean, sir? He leaned in. It means, he whispered, you're finished. But while he spoke, Elena gently slid open the side pocket of her apron. And pulled out the real documents. She placed them on the table with calm precision. Sir, she said softly. These are the original ones, the ones you never believed a maid could understand. His expression cracked. Confusion, then anger, then fear. What are you doing with those? Elena looked straight into his eyes. I know everything, sir. Every hidden account, every property, every document you forged. Every worker you insulted. Every woman you mistreated. Mr. Rehan stepped back, as though Elena's words were physical blows. This is nonsense. You're lying. Elena shook her head. I warned you 2 years ago, when you didn't even know my name. That you should treat people kindly. But you didn't listen. He pointed a finger at her. You can't touch me. You're just. Alina cut in quietly. A maid? She leaned forward. Sir. I'm the legal owner of everything under your name. Silence crashed over the room. Maya gasped softly behind the doorway. Alina continued, voice steady but heavy with years of pain. My father gave you his trust, and you destroyed him. You took his company. You took his home. And you tried to take his dignity. But you forgot one thing. She slid the final document across the table. I was always watching. Mr. Rayhan's legs weakened, he stumbled into a chair. No. No, this can't be legal. You tricked me. Alina responded with a sad smile. No, sir. You tricked yourself. I simply waited. For the right moment to take back what was already mine. He slammed his hand on the table. What do you want from me? Money? Power? Revenge? Alina shook her head gently. I want peace. But for that, you must leave. His breath hitched. Leave? My own home? This was never your home, Alina whispered. It was borrowed until the truth returned. Mr. Rayhan fell silent. His face pale, his pride shattered. For the first time, he wasn't angry. He was scared. Scared of the girl he once called just a maid. He whispered, broken. Alina, please. I can explain. She pressed a hand up to stop him. No more lies. No more cruelty. Your chapter ends today. She stood up. Pack your things. Before the authorities arrive. Mr. Rayhan looked at her one last time. His eyes filled with a mix of regret and disbelief. You're not the girl I hired, he whispered. Alina turned away slowly. You're right. I'm the woman you underestimated. Moments later, his footsteps faded toward the stairs. And when he was gone, Maya rushed to Alina, wrapped her arms around her tightly. You did it. Alina, you finally did it. Alina closed her eyes. Tears slipping down her cheeks. Release, relief, victory, and pain, all tangled together. This house, she said softly, will no longer echo with his cruelty. Alina stepped outside. Feeling sunlight touch her face like freedom for the first time in years. A new beginning. A new identity. A new power. And as she looked back at the mansion, she whispered to herself, patience isn't weakness. It's the strongest weapon we have. This was the rise of the maid, who owned everything. Subscribe and share Gentle Voices Storytime and watch next story.